I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to have a couple more members who will be joining us. There's the Lieutenant Governor. Good morning, sir. I'm going to now read the Ethics and Awareness of Conflict of Interest reminder that we always read. In accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, it's the duty of every council member to avoid both conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflict. If any council member has any known conflict of interest or is aware of facts that might create the appearance of such conflict, with respect to any matters coming before the council today, please identify the conflict or the facts that might create the appearance of a conflict to ensure that any inappropriate participation in that matter may be avoided. If at any time any new matter raises a conflict during the meeting, please be sure to identify it at that time. We now have interest matters. Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Governor. The interest report for the month of July was 3.71%. Oh, sorry. The interest report was 3.71% for the month of July. And also pleased to report that a couple of weeks ago, and for the first time probably in our state's history, we have an opportunity to buy back some of our general obligation bonds at 71 cents on the dollar. So I know a $7 million reduction in your mortgage doesn't sound like a big deal when you have a $30 billion budget, but we're glad that we're in a position to do that. These were bonds that were available, a large block of bonds, $20 million worth of bonds that we were able to retire for about $14 million. And thanks to the hardworking staff at the Treasurer's Office who bird dogged that to the benefit of the taxpayers. And that's the interest report.
Thank you, sir. You also have received the August 1st, 2023 minutes from that meeting, and we need a motion to approve those.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner of Agriculture moves to approve, Secretary of State seconds. Is there any discussion or debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Fire insurance matters, Commissioner Causey.
Thank you, Governor. On fire insurance matters, the State Property Fire Insurance Fund balance at the end of July was $14.5 million. And on page 2, the Department of Insurance requests permission to pay these two losses, the one from the NC State Fair that Commissioner Troxler would like to get settled. It's a small amount. And number 2 is the natural and cultural resources at Fort Macon State Park, a $36,000 claim. So I move we pay these two claims.
Is there a second to that motion?
So moved.
Second by Superintendent Truitt. Is there further discussion or debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. I think we have someone who's called in now.
Yeah, Governor Cooper Josh has joined. Sorry for being late.
No, it's okay. Attorney General. Commissioner Dobson on. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. We'll now hear from Heather Fuldrum on Board of Transportation right-of-way matters.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, Council. The Department of Transportation has 6 items for your consideration today. All items have been approved by the Secretary of Transportation and the Board of Transportation. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Fuldrum? Do you have a motion? Treasurer moves approval. Is there a second? Second, Commissioner Causey. Is there further discussion or debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Fuldrum.
Thank you.
We now have State Ports Authority matters. Stephanie Ayers.
Good morning, Governor, members of council. The State Ports Authority has one item for your attention, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from Ms. Ayers about the Sports Authority matter? I do have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Secretary of State moves approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Troxler. Is there further discussion or debate? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Ayers. We now have state property matters. Tim Walton.
Morning, Governor, members of the council. I have one change and one item to pull this morning. On page 10, under disposition by deed, item number 1, the grantor should be the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, NC State Fair, rather than transportation. And then on page 12, item number 3, under disposition by easement, I'm pulling that item from the agenda. Having said all that, I have 10 items for your consideration.
That
this morning.
item 3 that you said, Tim?
I'm sorry.
Item 3 that you're pulling.
On page 12, yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Great. Questions for Mr. Walton? Do I have a motion? Approval. Commissioner Troxler moves approval with the changes as outlined by Mr. Walton. Is there a second? Attorney General Stein. Is there further discussion or debate? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Walton.
Thank you, Governor.
We now have David Mason with the Department of Adult Correction.
Morning, Governor and Council. I have one item before you this morning for approval. This is a guaranteed energy savings performance contract and the associated installment financing agreement for the Department of Adult Correction. Performance contracts are governed by General Statute 142-64, and they're overseen by the State Energy Office within the Department of Environmental Quality. These agreements have been reviewed and recommended for approval by staff at the Office of State Budget and Management, as well as the Office of the State Treasurers. And I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Mason? Treasurer Falwell.
Thank you. I'd not seen this. Do you say the approved by law?
Yes, we worked with Louis Andrews, and I believe the Deputy Secretary signed the approval letter.
Thank you. Just a quick question. What do you think the present value of the savings of this expenditure will be?
I'm going to defer to Graham Lewis with Snyder Electric Buildings. He's got the details with him.
Mr. Lewis, can you come forward and identify yourself for the record, please?
Hey, Graham Lewis with Schneider Electric, with the Energy Services Company with the project. The total guaranteed savings over the term of the contract is $60 million. I don't have the current present value calculation on me right now.
Paula? So would that 60 million be over what period of time?
It's over a 20-year guarantee.
Okay. Follow up. So we're spending 38 million present in today's dollars. We're going to be saving 60 million over a 20-year period of time. At today's interest rates, that would, in my head, would tell me that the net present value could possibly be zero or negative.
It's a budget neutral approach. So that differential in cost of the project and guaranteed savings goes to cover your interest costs as well as the measurement and verification costs that are required by state statute.
Well, thank you for reaching out to the Treasurer's Office. We do have some subject matter expertise in this. I will say those numbers don't add up for me. I will say that in my experience as the state treasurer, Schneider has been one of the more reputable firms that we've dealt with. Just for the other members of the Council of State, we inherited contracts like this over the years where I nor the state auditor have been able to even get an electric bill so that we could actually verify that these savings actually occurred, which is disappointing. If public money is being spent for public buildings, whether it's a school system or a prison, somebody should be able to go in to determine that the savings that you're promising are actually happening. Would you commit to this council of state today that anytime that the treasurer's office or the state auditor's office or the OSBM asks you for a bill, that you will provide that to them?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Attorney General moves approval. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by the Lieutenant Governor. Is there further discussion or debate? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, gentlemen. Now we have Mr. Peter Bolek with the property matters not subject to GS 146 with North Carolina State Bar.
Good morning. Bring greetings from the North Carolina State Bar. I know the agenda says we're the Bar Association. It's okay. Most lawyers don't know the difference either. So I just want to, we have one lease
One we
agreement.
have to pay and one we don't.
That's right. That's right. We have a lease agreement for your approval today from the Mecklenburg County Bar. I'm happy to answer any questions. We're here because our lease agreements are subject to approval pursuant to GS 8417.
Questions for Mr. Bolek? Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Secretary Marshall moves approval. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Trockler. Noted that the Commissioner has helped out some lawyers today. Further discussion? That was not a nice look, sir. Further discussion or debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. All right, we'll now begin our roundtable. Secretary Marshall.
Good morning, Governor and everyone. Thank you again for this opportunity. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but when you continue to break records, that's what you sound like. Entrepreneurs in North Carolina continue to break records as new business creations continue at an astonishing rate.
I don't.
Okay. Compared to before the global pandemic. In fact, we have the highest number of new business creations in July compared to any other July on record. But not to be outdone, August likewise was a record August. These numbers are just as hot as the scorching temperatures outside. In August 23, North Carolinians created 16,133 new business. The next closest August was 2020, when there was 15,169 new businesses, comparatively about 1,000. As of July 2023, 14,324 new business. July 23, 14,324 new businesses were created, topping the previous record of 13,900. That's over a 400 increase in July of 2012. That means the July and August period of 2023 set a record with more than 30,000 new business creations, higher than any other July or August on record. Year to date, as of August 31, there are more than 121,000 new business creations, and we are on pace to be the second highest year on record. If you do the math, that's 720 new business creations each business day that my staff helped with. To give you some additional context, this is a 76% growth compared to 2019. Governor, we're at historic levels of annual report filings also. Between January 1 and August 31 of this year, more than 550,000 annual reports have been filed. We're at 70,000 more than the same period last year. It is a broken record, but it's all good news. So my report to you today is that North Carolina's entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well. I do want to thank this opportunity to thank all of my staff who put the work in each day to handle these skyrocketing numbers. Their professionalism, patience, and commitment to public service is commendable. The newest numbers I report to you today also clearly reflect what I was discussing with the council last month, that the funding and staffing levels approved by the General Assembly are not coming anywhere close to keeping pace with the current intense demand for our agency. Our businesses pay for these services and deserve better. We are doing what we're doing, but not at the rate the business community has become accustomed to. Finally, Governor, it was an honor to join you yesterday at the Joint Forces Headquarters for a commemoration ceremony on 9/11. My sincerest thanks to our first responders that day and every day. My continued prayers for peace to the many who lost loved ones, and my deepest gratitude for the service of the North Carolina Guard members who lost their lives in the years following that tragic day, which were also recognized yesterday. May their memories be a blessing.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Commissioner Troxler.
Governor, we are in full fair mode. We did open up the Mountain State Fair this past weekend in Fletcher, and everything has gone smoothly with the exception of having to shut down rides a couple times because of lightning. But invite everybody to come out to the Mountain State Fair. It's across from the Asheville Airport. It's more laid back than the State Fair, not as large. So it's a very enjoyable experience, especially when we're going to have fall weather. It seems like the middle of the week through the weekend. So come out and enjoy.
Thank you, sir. Treasurer Falwell.
Thank you, Governor. As I reported a few moments ago, we were very proud at the Treasurer's Office to have been able to find a block of bonds that we were able to retire at a deep discount, and we'll be looking for other opportunities like that going forward. I guess I want to congratulate Eric Boyette thank him and congratulating him, your DOT Secretary, for the partnership that the Treasurer's Office has had with the Department of Transportation under his administration. We had an agreement when you assigned him to this position that we would not overshare anything and that we would not get too far out in front of each other. And he stood by that, and I stood by that. And I know his replacement will continue the good work of trying to get the DOT out of the ditch, so to speak, financially. And just want to congratulate him on his tenure and remind all of our participants how important DOT is to our state. Lastly, Governor, since we last met, we have lost a corrections officer, but not in the way that you would expect. You know, we're in the check delivery business at the Treasurer's Office, and most of these checks are blessings like Secretary Boyette's retirement. But some are not. Whether it's Ned Bird, Deputy Ned Bird from Wake County, who was laid to rest a little over a year ago, or Jeff Cox, one of our corrections employees, who was simply going to work one morning about a month ago, and I don't know the circumstances, but came around a corner, and there was a family who was probably walking in the middle of the road. And Jeff Cox did not see this family, struck the 17-year-old teenager. Ultimately, that teenager succumbed to his injuries, and while our corrections officer employee was actually trying to attend to him and call 911, the father took out a weapon and murdered our corrections officer, and then I believe possibly stole our truck right after that. So if it's appropriate, Governor, I'd like to adjourn our meeting today in honor not only of our 9/11 victims, but also of our corrections officer, Jeff Cox.
Sure. Clearly a tragedy, and one that everybody's still trying to recover from, and this family will never recover from. But thank you for bringing that up, and I had planned to talk about Secretary Boyette at the end of this meeting. Superintendent Truitt.
Thank you, Governor. I am very pleased to have the opportunity to share with this council and reiterate some data for the public that was shared at the State Board of Education meeting last week. And that is that our students in North Carolina continue to see academic recovery across all subjects and across all subgroups, which means that all children are in fact making academic gains in light of school closures from the pandemic. Our strongest gains have been in middle grades math as well as in elementary reading. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that there has been $60 million in new money that has been invested in that professional development for teachers that has led to these incredible gains in our elementary reading scores. But also, when we look at the amount of money that's been invested in this, all told, we're looking at over $100 million over the last couple of years just to remediate the learning loss that has recovered over the last couple of decades across this nation and in North Carolina because of the lack of understanding and awareness of the correct way to teach reading in our nation, which is a move away from a phonics-based approach to early literacy instruction in favor of something called whole language. You cannot listen to an education podcast without hearing about the both cognitive and considerable research that has gone into showing that what we have been investing in our teachers in the way of professional development for the past 2 years coming out of the pandemic is what works for all children. We are seeing increases in our poorest school districts, upwards of 50% gains in early reading skills for our youngest readers in some of our most economically distressed counties. And then we're in turn seeing that pay off in our older grades as well. So we will be coming to the legislature and to you, Governor, in this short session for a solution for our middle grades teachers, because we need to continue down this trajectory of investing in professional development for our teachers as we have the past couple of years for reading. We need to do the same thing in math and the same thing for middle grades reading. And it may seem premature to be talking about the short session when we don't have a budget yet for this session, but my team and I are working on a solution that will, again, empower and equip our teachers to meet the needs of all learners. Thank you.
You see it all in the budget that I sent over to the General Assembly, just FYI. Commissioner Causey.
Thank you, Governor. As has already been mentioned, yesterday was the 22nd anniversary of the attack on America, and there were dozens of celebration, memorial events around North Carolina to honor the victims of that attack. And last night I was in Orange County at the Orange Grove Fire Department. They celebrated their 50th anniversary, and Tim Bradley, longtime member of the fire service, gave an eloquent account of what not only our National Guard members, as Secretary Marshall mentioned, but our first responders from North Carolina, what they endured and faced when they went to New York City in the aftermath. And so, let us never forget and thank our first responders every day for what they do to keep us safe.
Thank you, sir. Attorney General Stein.
Thank you, Governor. Pleasure to be with everybody this morning. We made a big announcement last week. We reached settlement in principle on behalf of the entire country with Kroger over the role that its pharmacies have played in all of the various grocery stores that are under the Kroger umbrella and the opioid crisis. As we know, the opioid epidemic, which has devastated and continues to devastate communities across the country, including here in North Carolina, that it was the entire drug distribution chain from the manufacturers to the distributors to the national pharmacy chains. And we've reached a $1.37 billion settlement in principle with Kroger, which we're working to finalize, and I'm optimistic that we will. And when we do, these funds, North Carolina will get our share of these funds, and it will pour back into the state coffers and local government coffers, predominantly the counties, to make a difference in people's lives and help folks live healthy, happy lives rather than lives struggling with addiction. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, sir. I think we now have Commissioner Dobson on the line.
Thank you, Governor. I'll be brief. The Department of Labor, and I said this last time, I think, the Department of Labor was special before I got there, and it's special during my time. And whomever is sworn in January of 2025, the Department of Labor will still be special. And it has very little to do with who the Commissioner of Labor is, and it has everything to do with the employees who show up every day to keep North Carolinians safe. We are proud to partner with Commissioner Troxler and the Department of Ag for the Mountain State Fair this past week. And I just want to give a shout out to my point of the inspectors who work diligently and tirelessly to make sure those rides are safe. Dean Edwards, Keith Madreau, Tony Pachetti, David Crank, Dennis James, Kevin Woods, Randall Rayborn, and Tommy Petty have worked tremendously hard to make sure those rides are safe. So I just wanted to say publicly how much I'm grateful for them and all of the employees at the North Carolina Department of Labor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Lieutenant Governor Robinson.
Thank you, Governor. One of the things that's been very concerning to me over the last few months is the amount of job loss that we've been having in large manufacturing firms. The paper mill in Canton, there was Mitchell Gold just recently, and then the place where I learned to upholster, Clauston Furniture, shut its doors. And so thousands of well-paid, skilled positions that are no longer there. But I would contrast that also with what Secretary Marshall said, and what I'm also seeing is there are an inordinate amount of new businesses starting that are reaching out to those folks who employ them. So I think as a whole, as all of us who have a role in this, we need to continue to do what we need to do to continue to help business succeed in this state. So those folks that are losing those jobs at those manufacturing facilities can transfer over into new workplaces. And I think it's working quite well right now, and hopefully it'll continue to do so in the future.
Thanks, sir. I do want to take a moment to commend the great work of our Transportation Secretary, Eric Boyette. He will be leaving before we have the next Council of State meeting. I think he's off working. I don't think he's even in the room today, but I do want, for the record, to express my appreciation to him. He had a long career in the Department of Transportation, and then, as you know, I appointed him of my Secretary of the Department of Information Technology, and brought them on, unbeknownst to him. I had the idea that I was going to bring him on as Secretary of the Department of Transportation, and he has accepted that role and done it well. And thank you for your comments, Mr. Treasurer, on his good work. Joey Hopkins will take over as Secretary of the Department of Transportation. He has said we can continue to use this room, so we were a little worried about our landlord there for these meetings, but I think we're squared away on that and look forward to his service. But thank you, Mr. Secretary, for your outstanding work and service to the people of North Carolina. And now we will all adjourn in honor of 9/11 victims and all of the first responders, not only in North Carolina, but across the country, who risked their lives to save others, and in memory of Corrections Officer Jeff Cox. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.
See you, sir.
Okay.